What's up guys, this is Al, and in today's episode I'm going to be reviewing one of my favorite bamboo varieties, and that is the green Asper. Green Asper is also known as giant timber. It is one of the biggest varieties that you can grow in your yard. Extremely easy to grow, but it has some specific growing requirements that you need to understand in order to be successful. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, green Asper. This is one of the biggest varieties that I have here on my property. This bamboo variety has been in the ground for about 3 years or so now, but it has suffered. It was one of the first bamboo varieties that I planted in the ground, and I can tell you it's in one of the most exposed areas of my yard. A lot of the wind comes rushing down from that area, and when I first put it in the ground, this area here was bare. There was nothing around it, no microclimate, nothing. So it got hit by frost, it got hit by cold. And it also went through one of the coldest winters that I ever had here at my property. Now, why is this bamboo so popular? Well, it is not popular because most people don't even know about it. And that's the main reason why I'm making this video, to let you guys know there are other bamboo varieties out there that you can grow. Now, this variety right here will give you one of the biggest culms, shoots, canes, whatever you want to call them. And as you can see, my plant has started to mature. How can I know? How can I tell? Well, usually the new shoots that come off the ground, they're gonna be a lot bigger. And you can see these guys are huge. And one of the main features of this variety specifically is when the new shoots come off the ground, they have this like layer that's velvety to the touch, very smooth. And as the canes mature, then they turn green, hence the name green Asper. Now this variety right here, like I said, belongs to the giant timber family. A lot of bamboo varieties out there will have the same classification, botanical name on the screen right now. But there are hybrids out there, and this one happens to be the green one. There's also a black one, there's a brown one, there's all kinds of different varieties out there. This is one of my favorite varieties simply because it has one of the biggest culms out of all the ones that I have here at the property. And this plant literally just started growing. With that said, let's go ahead and talk about the growing requirements for this plant. This plant takes full sun anywhere in the United States. Full blasting sun, do not grow in the shade. It hates the shade. Winter care. All right, so this plant right here, compared to the other bamboo varieties, I've noted it's a little more cold sensitive than the other ones. Every winter, it has taken damage. And the first winter, it was just a tiny little guy. It literally died to the ground. I thought it was completely dead, but surprisingly, it came back from the roots. Now, the plant was not fully rooted in the ground. So that winter damage, that first winter, set me back at least a year to year and a half. This plant right here is about 3 years old. And just last year, I would say middle last year, summer last year, it just started to grow to this size that you see now. And that tells me the plant is now fully rooted in the ground, and as long as it gets proper watering, it should be able to grow. Let's talk about the root system. The root system of bamboo varieties, this one here, specifically, it's a clumping variety. It grows in a circle. A fully mature green Asper will easily cover an area 6x6 to 8x8, fully mature one. You can go ahead and control the size simply by digging them up, or you can just chop them flush to the ground. But the root system is just shallow, fibrous roots, just like grass, so they really do not damage anything unless you have pipes going right under them. Plant structure. This is a bamboo variety, and like I said, it is clumping. It grows in a circle. A full-size green Asper. I don't know of anybody else in my area growing the green Asper. So textbook answer for this, what I've seen online, they say 70 feet. But my plant, it has literally just started growing. 3 years old, and remember, it took damage the first winter, so that set me back at least a year and a half. So my plant is behind, but even then, I can estimate this plant to be right now at least 40 to 50 feet. And last winter, it took frost damage. Let's talk about flowering. Now, bamboo varieties in general, yes, they do flower, but they take forever to flower. By the time this plant flowers right here, I'll probably be dead, maybe 30, 50 years from now. So who knows? So how do you propagate this plant? Usually you propagate it by splitting off the root system. You just dig them up and put them in a container. It's that easy. Now it is a lot more labor intensive, and for that reason, this variety right here is also one of the most expensive varieties that I sell here at the nursery. But you can tell why, because it is extremely nice looking. Let's talk about the watering requirements for this plant. Well, remember, this is a bamboo variety. The roots don't go that deep into the ground. So for that reason, you want to water frequently. How frequently? Well, I got videos explaining how to water your plants in containers and how to water your plants in the ground the first year. So as long as you water, you should be okay. This plant right here, it's on a drip system. Oh look, gopher mounts. I need to get them gophers. That's another thing that I forgot to tell you guys. The gophers have been eating my bamboo, but even with that, it's still growing. So, but I gotta take out them gophers because the roots of this plant, according to people online, it's one of the tastier ones that you can eat. But watering, yeah, just shallow water. Make sure you soak the soil at least, 1 to 3 feet, depending on how old your plant is. Let it dry and then water it again. As long as your soil drains the water, you will not be able to overwater your plant. And like I said, this plant right here is in a drip system, and it's on the same zone as my fig trees. So it does get water right now daily for about an hour. And I think I have 2 4-gallon-hour emitters in here, so it gets 8 gallons of water every single day. But then I think every 5 days I have my timer set up for my figs because those need deep water. And then it runs my system for about 8 hours. So, and it seems to be growing. It's not struggling, so I must be doing something right. Let's talk about fertilization. How do you fertilize your plant? Well, my bamboo right here, it is planted in native soil. Now, bamboo litters a lot. It will make a mess out of everything. So how do I fertilize it? To be honest, I just water. I think I had some horse poop last year, and I threw it over here from my horses. But look how alive my soil is. I got bugs everywhere, roly-polies. That is what my plant is eating, the roly-poly poops. But yeah, so whatever mulch I have in the ground, I just rake it up around the canopy of the plant just to keep the surface of the soil moist, to keep the living organisms in the soil happy and alive, because it is extremely hot here. And the surface of your soil, if it's not covered, it will dry very quickly, just like this right here. And it's very hard to keep anything alive when the surface of your soil looks just like that. So my recommendation is, when you first plant your tree in the ground, do not concentrate on fertilizers. Just stick it in the ground, get your watering down, make sure your tree is happy, and then over time, whatever organic material you have, you can just throw it in the ground and it will be fine. Container growing. Can you grow your green Asper bamboo in a container? And the answer is yes and no. Why yes? Because as you see, I have most of my bamboo varieties. Well, they are all in containers right now, the ones we sell. But you cannot keep your bamboos in containers forever. And one of the reasons why is because they do not grow in containers. As you can see, all these guys right here are small. And a lot of these bamboo varieties that I have in here, they're about 1 to 2 years old. 1 to 2 years old, they will be a lot bigger in the ground. But one thing with bamboo varieties that I've noticed compared to most plants, once they root the container fully with roots, they do not like to grow. They get stunted and they stay that size forever. Another thing with container plants is you will not get the mature culms, shoots, canes in containers. It's just never going to happen. One thing about bamboo varieties is once they root themselves in the ground, that is the only time they're actually going to shoot mature culms off the ground. You will never see them in containers, ever. As you can see, I have some green Asper right here, and you see how skinny they look like? That's how small mine were when I first put them in the ground. They were tiny. Yes, and they will remain tiny as long as I keep them in a container. If you ever see a bamboo variety huge in a container, like the one that you saw just a minute ago in the ground, that bamboo most likely rooted itself through the container into the ground, and that is the only reason why it was able to grow big. So if you ever go to a nursery and they're pushing you to buy a bigger bamboo in a bigger container because it's stronger, it's gonna live better, it's gonna grow faster, it is a lie, and they're just trying to take your money. My recommendation is find the smallest one you can find, stick it in the ground and wait, because that big one was most likely extremely root bound and they chopped their roots in order to sell it to you. I see this happen all the time. It is very hard to keep bamboo in containers long term because they have extremely vigorous roots and they will root out any container you put them in very quickly. There you have it, guys. So that was my review of my green Asper bamboo. If you guys have any questions that I haven't answered in the video, go ahead and comment below. Like I said, this is one of the biggest, nicest varieties that I have in the ground, and mine is not even fully mature. So if you are looking for a very ornamental, massive bamboo variety to plant in the ground, well, this is the one to get.